Hello and welcome to We Us I. Carlito. Apologies from me to you for having you wait this long for this episode. I was held up by work recently, which made it difficult for me to create an episode for you all. But excuses end today, and I have created time to bring this to you. I have missed you all, and I hope that you're all doing well. You're free from sickness, you're free from anxiety, worry, and you're full of happiness, joy, and peace. And today I want to take you all back to 2014 when we had the FIFA World Cup in South Africa. It is a core memory in my childhood because I remember the game between Brazil and Germany. At the time I was I was rooting for Brazil. I wanted them to win because I loved their expressive football. They played with audacity, they played with confidence, they were not afraid to be unconventional in the way that they played. They played with belief. They knew who they were. They they were not playing with a doubt. They played with certainty that whatever they did on the field would result to their success in winning the World Cup. In the way they dribbled past players, in the way they were stringing their passes. I loved their football. They were playing exciting football, dribbling past two players, three players, a crazy pass to the wing. They were playing with bravado. They knew that they were going to get this trophy. I loved players who, despite the pressure, despite the expectations that the media has on you, that they're able to calm themselves down and play as they would with their mates on the street. They didn't play robotic football. They were not afraid of mistakes, but they took it just as the game that they loved, and that's what I loved about them. And I remember I was watching this game with my father, and he was surprised that with my young age I had this burning desire for Brazil to win. I I I rooted for them as if I was a native, as if I carried the story within my heart as well, as if I knew the culture, I knew the expectation that the nation had for the players because they were a country who have won this trophy for a couple of times, and the fans had expectation for them to win this trophy. And I also had it within my chest. I knew that they were going to carry this trophy. I felt it within me. But as we were watching the game, it was to my shock. They lost 7-1, and I cried that night. I cried, and my father was surprised again of the passion that I had for football. That I would support a nation that I have no affiliation to. I don't understand their culture, I don't understand their language, but the passion I had for the team was shocking to him. And it stands out to me because that's when I knew how much I loved the game. That's when I knew the desire I had for football. I also wanted a platform for me to express myself in the skill that I had to play with confidence under pressure, to to show the world that I belong on this pitch, that I have something to prove. I am worthy of being here. And from that time, football was all that was in my mind. I loved playing football with my friends in school. I talked about football. We played FIFA in PlayStation 2. I remember it was FIFA 12, FIFA 13, FIFA. We played FIFA. It was It was an obsession to me. And what I remember about my childhood is how present I was in all that I did. Whether if we were playing, my mind was constantly there. I didn't waver, I was not thinking about anything else, I was simply there. And in if I was in school, my mind was there, learning, or whatever I did, I was present. And what strikes me now is where the change happens. When I got to adulthood, it wasn't the same, it was fragmented. I could be here, but my mind is elsewhere. I'm present, but not fully present. My mind has subdivided itself in its willingness to provide attention to multiple activities. I struggle to understand what makes our mind or my mind deviate. Do you experience the same? Are you always present as of now as an adult, or do you struggle with fragmentation that you're there but you're not fully there, you're partially there? Where did the shift occur? Because when I was a child, I didn't think much about adulthood. I didn't think about my future that much. All I thought about was football. I wanted to play football. But besides that, there was not much I thought about. I simply thought adulting to be another stage of life. You had to grow up, become an adult, marry, die. It was simply another stage in life. And as I grew older, when I got to 16, I didn't feel like I was an adult. I didn't feel I was getting older. I still felt like a child. As I grew 18, I grew out beards. I saw a mustache on my face. But I didn't feel like an adult. I just felt like a child still. And slowly as I progressed through adulthood, and when I got to 21 is when I stumbled upon adulthood. I was propelled to it, I would say. It was as if I was I would say pushed into adulthood. It felt forced. I don't know if that makes sense. It felt like life jolted him life jolted me into adulthood. I felt like, oh, I'm an adult. it was not it was not a step by step process. It was more like a fall, boom, from childhood to straight down to adulthood. And it was a shock. The way that you wake up from a nightmare, you're shocked. It was a nightmare. I was shocked. I'm an adult. It was unfamiliar. Even though I was above 18, that was the first time I felt I was an adult, when I was 21. And it was strange because I didn't really understand what it meant to be an adult. It was something that you hear, you know, but you don't fully understand. You hear people speak about adulthood, you see people growing older, but you don't really understand what it means. And when I was 21, I I felt it for the first time what it meant to be an adult. What I felt was confusion. I was confused because I felt like the world demanded something from me, and I want to give it out to the world, but I don't know what I have to offer. I would say, picture this scenario where a person stands in front of you and their arms are wide open, expecting you to give them something, but they are not speaking, they are silent. And you're frustrated, you want to help them, you want to give them something, but you don't know what you have to offer, and it's frustrating. You want to discover what you want to give them quickly to solve their need, but where do you begin to find your solution from? You want to solve their problem, but you also don't know where to begin, and it's confusing because there's no guide in where you need to look at, in where you need to find your way. You just have to find your way. At least that's how I felt. You just need to find your way, but there's no guide, there's no directives. The world is still demanding, and you don't know where to start from, but you have to start. And it was confusing for me in that aspect that I felt the need to make something of myself, but I didn't know where to begin. And I wanted to ask you, what does adulting feel like to you? What comes to your mind when you hear the word adult? What picture arises in your mind, or what scenario, or what comes to your mind when you hear the word adult? I'd love to know. And what's shocking about adulthood, as much as you grow, as much as you have this desire to offer something to the world, you're also plagued by this fear of failure. You're plagued by this worry of not being enough. It's it's a fear that is created from maybe our desire to show our parents that we are valuable investments in the prices that they paid for us to go to school, in building our character, in building our self worth and self image. We want to show to them that we will not fail them, that we will arise to the occasion and make something out of ourselves. And some of us carry this fear that you want to offer something to the world, but you're afraid also at the same time to try it, because what if you fail? And We don't like failing, and now you are caught in this pressure of you want to perform, but at the same time you're afraid that if you perform, you'll fail, and now you're stuck in a place where you don't know what to do. You want to go forward, but you are afraid of going forward. You want to advance your life, but you're afraid in advancing your life you might fail, and now you're moving forth, back, one step forward, two steps back, one step forward, two step back, one step forward, two step backwards. It's exhausting to you, but at the same time, all my days. But at the same time, you are scared, paralyzed by fear that you might not become what you aspire to become. Is that how you feel, or I'm just rambling? It might be that I'm saying something that is not what you're currently experiencing in your life. Please do tell me, what is adulting like to you? Are you paralyzed by fear? Are you ecstatic by the freedom that you have in your life now that your parents are not in control, but you're the one who controls your future? Are you excited about who you're becoming? What is adulting to you? What emotions arise when you hear the word adulting? Is it freedom? Is it power? Is it fear? Is it uncertainty? What is it? I'd love to know. And when you find yourself in that state, you tend to criticize yourself so much, because now you start comparing yourself to others. Others have progressed, and they are sulking, wondering why you're not progressing. Why are you afraid that you'll fail? And you wallow in self-pity. You stay in that state, and it's comforting at times, because it kind of gives you an excuse, because you downplay yourself. You say, I cannot make it. Others can do it, why me? And you try to cop out. You try to find ways for you to avoid, to pursue the goals that you have set out for yourself. You view them as giants that cannot be conquered. And what makes adulting a difficult terrain to master is the responsibilities that are brought within your way, that you have to be responsible for yourself. Now you have to be accountable to your actions. You have to be careful in the friends that you hang around with. You have to be cautious in who you allow in your life. It requires it requires it requires us to be serious with our lives in a way that we weren't before in childhood, because when we were children we were carefree. We weren't responsible as we are expected to be as adults. We weren't faced with different or dynamics. We weren't faced with difficult choices to make, because in adulthood you have now to choose sometimes your career over friends. You have to choose the right friends, and sometimes those are difficult choices to make, which in childhood, despite having friends that were not of good character, they weren't that far off. They weren't partly off. Maybe our parents cautioned us from playing with certain children, but they weren't the worst. They weren't going to this. Okay, I don't know about you, but in my experience, they weren't the children that were going to kill people or burn down or do anything anything careless. They had questionable characters, but they were not bad people, I would say. They were just not what our parents wanted us to walk around with people with. I don't know if you understand me. What I'm trying to say is, when we were children, we didn't have difficult decisions to make. We were simply living carefree. We did what we wanted, woke up anytime we wanted. But now in adulthood, we have repercussions for what we do. Wake up late, maybe you can lose your job. This can happen. There's so much that we are in control of that we weren't before, and it's difficult for us sometimes to accept that in our lives. You find people are living in excuses. They are saying, I cannot do this because of this. They have this victim mentality, and they are not aware that they are in control of their lives, because before we were not in control. We were left with few decisions to make. We were not choosing which school our children are going to. We were not choosing where we want to live in. We were not choosing the life that you want to bring your kids in. We simply existed. What our parents gave us is what we ate. What they bought for us is what we wear. But in adulthood, there's so much that is dependent on you, and that brings difficulty onto us, because sometimes we are not good in making the right decisions, and it becomes difficult for us to adapt in adulthood, because there's so much that is in demand for us to do. Fix your life in your financial area, know how to manage your money, know how to manage your friends, know how to manage this, know how to manage this. It's not easy, and it makes adulthood difficult. There's responsibilities that we have to be in control of, the pressure that we put on ourselves, because we compare ourselves with others unconsciously or consciously. We compare and contrast. We want to live in a certain lifestyle, and when we're not there yet, we We look down upon ourselves and we question why others made it and we didn't. And we find that others are depressed because of what they see online or what they see on social media, because they compare themselves with others, they contrasted themselves with others. And it's difficult for us to sometimes be content with what we have. We want always to have more, achieve more, be more, and we're not willing to wait for it sometimes, and we get depressed, we get anxious, we get worried about our lives. And another question I have for you is, do you know what you want as an adult? Do you know what you want? I ask this question particularly because I have found that it seems to be an easy question. Who doesn't know what they want? I want a good life. I want a good family. I want a good husband. I want a good wife. But do you know what you want? Do you know what you want? Because in my research of this episode, I found that most people are not sure what they want. They're in a state of finding themselves. And in that state of finding yourself, you are open to listening to advice from others or from social media, and see what you can make something of yourself out of. And you go online, you watch a clip, and someone tells you you should start coding. You watch another clip, someone tells you should start cybersecurity. You watch another clip, someone tells you should be a content creator. You watch another clip, and at the end of the day, you're conflicted in what you should become, because as you look at each and every career, you see yourself somewhere in there. You are confident that you are able to make your name in coding. You're confident that you're able to make your dollar in social media, in content creation. And with this desire to make your name, to make something out of yourself, and you're presented with so many opportunities that you're told are able to generate money for you, you are confused because you don't know what you want, and you have an influx of advices that all seem wonderful to you. This idea is marvelous. Start a website, start a SaaS, start a company, start a venture, do this. They all seem wonderful ideas to you, and you are conflicted. What should you do? Should you learn about AI? Should you start coding? Should you start should you start a cybersecurity firm? Should you do this? And you find yourself conflicted because you don't know what you want. What do you want? It's a struggle, especially for people who are finding themselves, who are trying to discover what they're meant to do or meant to be. You find people tamarking for 5 years, for 6 years, because they don't know what they want. What do you want? Have you figured out what you want? Because it brings delay to your life when you don't know what you want. And it's okay to be confused. I don't think we should run away from it. I believe it's a stage in life where we are trying to find ourselves, and some of us try to hurry that step. They try to overcome it too fast, and they find themselves in more confusion because they don't know what they want, and they rush to something that seems to be the glittering gold. They jump on it, and as they spend their time in it, they realize that it's not what they wanted. And because they've spent so much time on this ship, they don't want to jump off, and they stay discontented, unhappy, but they stay. And I would urge you to embrace the confusion. Don't be in a rush to don't be in a rush to start out something just because you feel you're left behind or you're too late. Walk with confidence. And when you step out of that state of confusion, you're sure that what you have started is what you want to do. No, you're not doing it out of fear, you're not doing it out of hype, you're doing it because you feel confident that that's what you want to do. Because in this time and season, others are rushing to be productive, yet they are simply filling their time with activities that don't profit them because they are not enjoyable, they're not what they want to do, but they're simply doing it because they want to appear productive. They want to seem that they're ahead they're ahead of others. Oh God, that they're ahead of others. Yes, that they're ahead of others. And lastly, what I wanted to bring onto you guys was the grief that is experienced in adulthood. The grief that I don't know if you carry this grief. Okay, I don't know if you have it, but let me shine a light on it. Because recently I met with a few friends of mine who were childhood friends for a long time, 6 to 7 6 to 7 years. We were great friends, and he traveled abroad and came back recently. And when I met with him, I felt there's a layer I can't just touch. I felt I didn't know him anymore. I felt there's a barrier to the old self that I knew. I couldn't build from the past and know his new habits, his new friends. I was trying to connect with his past self, but he He moved on, he changed. His passions were not the same, his goals were not the same. He was someone else. And I was saddened by this realization that I don't know him anymore. After 7 years of being best friends, now he's a total stranger standing before me. That my passions and his passions don't need to be the same, but we have nothing to talk about. There's a alienation between us, and we were best friends for 7 years. I was distraught by it. I wondered what changed that we cannot even find a topic to talk on, to discuss, to strengthen the relationship that we had. We talked, but we struggled to unite the bond that we had in the past. And it felt like we are holding on to something that was already dead. And it was sad that our friendship was dead. But now he's a stranger. It was it was a sad moment because I relish those relationships that you have built for a long time. You know, there are people that you want to hold on to there. You don't want to let them go because of the place that you've come from with them, because of the memories that you share, because of the values that you have with each other. But for them to walk out of your life and become a stranger, it was saddening. Have you experienced the same in your life, that your friends that you would talk for hours on end, that you would play with in adulthood, in the present moment, that your friendships are no more, or they are strangers? And it's sad that in adulthood we are grieving the relationships that are broken, the people that we used to know for years, the people that we were raised with, that now they are strangers. Not all of them, but some of them. That you can't connect with them anymore. You can't speak with them anymore. They're gone. And you're left with this grief that is burning within your chest. You're wondering who would stay if these friends have gone. Who will stay within my life? I'm not saying that there are people who won't stay. I'm not trying to be sadistic. It is just it's saddening for someone who had a history with you for a long time, for them to simply vanish and say that you're a stranger. It's saddening. Have you experienced the same? The friends that you laughed with, the friends that you grew up with, the friends that you used to eat in their homes, they used to come to your place, you play with them, had sleepovers, that now you can barely even talk for 5 minutes without it being awkward. Do you experience the same? What is adulthood to you? Is it difficult? Is it exciting? Is it a breath of fresh air from your childhood? Let me know. But regardless of the challenges we face in adulthood, it it has its It has its bugs. It has its. It has its bugs. It has its blessings. But do you grieve? Do you grieve for the lost relationships? Do you feel like the world is demanding something of you, but you're not sure what you want to offer to them? You are willing to offer to them, but what? What do you offer? I want to offer to the world. I want to give them. But what am I giving them? I don't know what I'm giving them. Do you feel that within your chest? The world is demanding something of you, and you are willing to give it to the world. But what am I giving to this world? What am I giving it? Are you sure what you're giving to the world? Are you sure what you want? Are you sure what you want? Are you sure what you want? Are you sure of what you want? Are you sure of what you want?